and it's not really a sidebar ultimately. I went to a middle school that offered classes on Wednesdays after school, mini courses. You could learn baseball, you could learn sewing, you could learn ultimate frisbee, you could learn Dungeons and Dragons, and you signed up for these classes. Well, I wanted there to be a coin collecting class after school on Wednesdays when I was in sixth grade, and the school didn't have one. So they said, when I protested about this as a 12-year-old, they said that if I found somebody to teach the coin collecting class, that they would add it to the roster of classes. So I went to the coin store that was in Southbury, Connecticut. My parents drove me over there. It was the next town over. And I walked into Pony Express Stamp and Coin. I walked up to Frank Mezzi, who was the coin store owner, and I said, my name is Greg Bennick. I go to the Woodbury Middle School, and I will pay you $5 a week. And I put a $5 bill on the counter if you teach me and my friends about coins and coin collecting for 8 weeks. And he looked at me, and he took my $5 bill, and he said, sure, I'll do it. So I went back to the school, and I told them, I got this guy, and he's going to teach the class. They added it to the roster of classes. Well, soon thereafter, they, in homeroom, handed out a permission slip to each of us, and it said on it, what class do you want to take after school on Wednesday? Choice 1, if that's not available, choice 2, if that's not available, choice 3. And then there was a blank line at the bottom that they were going to fill in with the class we were signed up for officially. So I wrote my name, choice 1, coin collecting, choice 2, coin collecting. If that's not available, sign me up for coin collecting. I wrote it in all 3 spots. And then I sent in the slip. Well, somewhere in the world, maybe they're still alive, maybe not, the school secretary made a mistake and accidentally signed up a different kid for coin collecting and signed me up for a different class. And when I got my permission slip folded up the next day in homeroom and opened it up to find out what class I was signed up for, at the bottom, it said juggling. I have never been more crestfallen in my entire life. And I remember going home and complaining and being so sad to my parents, saying my life is over. I'm going to end up being this juggler. The school wants me to juggle, and all I want to do is collect coins instead of coin collecting.
And you got the teacher for the class.
And I got the teacher for the class, and my parents were like, just try it, see what you think, right? So I go back the next week, and I walk into this juggling class, and I've got my head down. I can't believe it. And I look up, and there was a kid. His name was John Onifray. He was one of my classmates. He was standing about 15 feet into this classroom. And I remember him juggling 3 white baseballs. And I remember looking up at him, and in my head I said, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And it was like a light bulb went off. I immediately knew. And I picked it up and started practicing. And I went home that night, and I told my parents, yeah, I guess what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, I am going to be a juggler, right? My parents were like, walk out of the room sad. But I knew it in that moment that was what I wanted to do. The school ultimately let me switch between the classes. So I got to take coin collecting, and I would split it. I would run into the juggling class and practice juggling, run over to the coin collecting class, back and forth. I got to do both, and ended up as a coin collecting juggler. Go figure. But that's how it all happened. It all started because 2 guys, and let's have this be the takeaway message. 2 guys, Mike Zito and Morris Convard, who went by the name Molecular Manipulation. They were a juggling team act in Woodbury, Connecticut, in 1981 and 1982, decided to get together and teach this juggling class at the Woodbury Middle School. They maybe got paid whatever, $10, $20 a week, certainly more than the $5 I offered Frank Mezzi, the coin guy. But they probably just wanted gas money or beer money or whatever they wanted. But they taught this juggling class, and as a result of them teaching that juggling class, it's what I've done my entire life. And now that, of course, it's become more than just juggling. It's like a whole comedy keynote and ideas and stuff. And I just did a keynote. I just posted about it for, this major thing for Windermere, the real estate company. I fly all over the country and around the world. I mean, Singapore, wherever, doing keynotes, all because of that mistake that the secretary made at the school, signing me up for the wrong class. Like, it boggles my mind. These 2 guys sitting around going, we should teach a juggling class. Totally changed my life. And somebody's mistake completely changed my life. And I always find myself asking, like, what are the things that I do that influence other people, hopefully positively, right? What are the things that I don't even realize? Like, that's why I almost wish I could find the secretary or their heir or their legacy, whoever, and say like, they signed me up for this wrong class, and look, like it changed my entire trajectory of being, like all because they wrote one kid's name in that line instead of mine. It's like mind-boggling to me. But that's the juggling story.
I was thinking that as you were saying that, like juggling, it's in my. Is it fair to say it's like the bedrock of everything that you have? Like I'm saying, it's afforded you to work for yourself. It's afforded you to have the life that you want to have. It's afforded you to be able to have that extra time to help people and stuff like that. It is the bedrock, and it literally was a clerical error.
It's because of a clerical error. Yeah. So that's why, like, when people ask me, like, oh, it's so cool that you work for yourself. It's so cool. I'm like, no, it's because of a clerical error. Like, you worded it perfectly. It's because of a mistake. Like, everything I've done is a result of mistakes. Like, come see the keynote sometimes. Like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. Oh my gosh, all these ideas are so amazing. No, every single thing in the keynote is the result of a mistake. So I thought, okay, that's got to work differently then. And it's all mistakes. It's all correcting mistakes all the way down.
Maybe though the takeaway, which is a grander takeaway, is that there are no mistakes. I mean, I know that sounds dumb, but
no, it's great. It's great. It's great, and I love it. I love it. Right? Maybe it's true, because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you think about it, literally writing the wrong name on a line, like in handwriting with a pen, resulted in me sitting here talking to you. Okay, right. Because had I not gotten into juggling, I wouldn't have been kind of like thinking like free spirit style about life. I wouldn't have been open to hardcore. I wouldn't have ended up certainly playing in punk bands, right? Like, how would that have happened? Maybe it would have happened, but I certainly wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if that. I think it was a woman, the secretary, I'm almost picturing her in my mind, wrote the right name on that line. Where would I be right now? I mean, I have no idea. I wouldn't be talking about the yeshiva. I wouldn't be talking about Brolo. I wouldn't be talking about coin collecting. I mean, come on, where would I be? Like, who knows?
You know, one more thought on that note. When my family first moved out to California in the 70s, we moved to Irvine, and we lived in a place called Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock was right near University High School, where Chew, Popeye, all those guys, Zach, everybody went. We moved after a year and came to Fountain Valley. And then it was only through Nelson, who just happened to live down the street. So I guess what I'm wondering as you're saying that is, I think I mean, maybe there wouldn't have been Brolov, but there probably would have been Trial. There probably, I think you are meant to be on a stage. I think you're meant to entertain, and it all worked out. But damn it, if that clerical error didn't...
Yeah, man. That's it. It all comes down to that. You know, it really does. It's mind-boggling. And again, you know, that's an example of staying in the process. Meaning, like, the moments where we think to ourselves, I'm insignificant, because ultimately each of us at the end of the day are, right? There's very few people who are, you know, more than significant. You know, Bruce Dickinson, you know, seems to be more than significant, right? This guy's, you know, he's pretty substantial. But other than that, like, I mean, there's not many of us, right? I mean, I won't even say many of us. There's not many of them. But, you know, for the rest of us, you know, the moments where, like, what I'm doing doesn't matter, you know, we got to stay in it. We've got to stay in it, because you never know. You never know the effects of your actions. You never know. I mean, the positive effects of your actions and what they could be. So
to tie this all up in a bow, nothing stops the mission.
That's right. Ironically and oddly enough, that saying on that shirt, of which maybe there were 3 dozen. Now, as I'm talking about, I think there were 36 of those shirts made.
And then I had one, wore in this room, kept in this closet. I mean, it's...
Yep. You've got one. My friend Linda has one. That's 2 of them. I think my friend Scott has one. So that's 1/12 of the total output of the Nothing Stops the Mission shirts. So silly. Oh my God.
No, not silly at all. Okay, wait, I'm going to stop.